It's the story that drives our dedication. This is Flash 2 News.
Skip the constant cleaning and home repairs and sell your
14.15
with a guaranteed offer.
on X up.
Receive the strongest cash offer from the most trusted real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to parkway.com and start.
Yes, it's really down.
Alright, here we go. Hey Dick, you were watching that video? Were you agreeing with a lot of what he was saying? Let's get right into it. Everybody's got their notifications on? Good. We're getting right into this. So I'm so glad that you're. I got 17 minutes and 37 seconds in, and he was kicking ass, bro. Tucker Carlson was kicking ass and making sense, bro. You know, what can I say? You want to hate on him? I've hated on him way more than you guys have. Guaranteed. I've said the worst things about that man that I could possibly say throughout the years. So just so you know, man, no one's going to out-bash Tucker Carlson. No one. Not around here. Not in this house, man. I'm the king of it. So don't anybody try to come in here and say that I haven't, you know, or that I'm somehow a supporter of his or anything, okay? You're not going to do well. So understand, this is somebody who I detest, right? However, like I said, we should listen to people that we, you know, sometimes disagree with or all the time disagree with, because sometimes they might make sense. And when they do, it's good to know what points that people on the opposite side of politics are agreeing with you on. This is one of those times. I want you guys to check this out. I'll be here in a second. I'm just going to bring my camera in.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Yesterday morning, the Vice Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, went on to the Sunday show at CBS News to announce a new policy toward Russia. Going forward, Blinken Biden administration Poland as a cutout to send to the government that will be used to fight the Russian. Blinken announces in a calm, even tone that suggested this was conventional procedure, business as usual, nothing to regret, just on the weekend of the State Department. But in fact, it's not typical. It's a very big step. It turns out to be a pivot point in history. And for that reason, I want to show you the entire exchange. Here it is.
If, for instance, the Polish government, a NATO member, wants to send fighter jets, does that get a green light from the U.S., or are you afraid that that will escalate tension?
No, that gets a green light. In fact, we're talking with our Polish friends right now about what we might be able to do to backfill their needs if, in fact, they choose to provide these fighter jets to the Ukrainians. What can we do? How can we help to make sure that they get something to backfill the planes that they're handing over to the Ukrainians?
Listen, right now.
Are you afraid that will escalate tension? Asks the script reader, because even a CBS News anchor knows that sending fighter jets to a war usually does that. No, replies Tony Blinken. That's a green light. It's a remarkable exchange. What are we watching here, apart from a conversation between two incredibly shallow people who are avoiding the concept of reality? What we're watching is the beginning of a war between the United States and Russia. If that sounds dry, what else would you call it? Now, you may support everything that Tony Blinken just said. Maybe you do support it. But let's not lie about what's happening. Let's be as honest and clear-eyed as we can be, especially now, because it matters. The Biden administration just inserted itself with force into the middle of a hot war between two foreign powers. That means the United States is now an active participant in a war. We are at war with Russia. Whether or not that war has been officially declared, whether or not Congress has authorized that war, all of that is irrelevant. That war is happening right now as we watch. Why is no one in Washington saying anything about this? Because they supported it. They always have. Almost 5 years ago, way back in 2007, Congressman Eric Swalwell of California came on the show for the Russiagate debate one of many. He came to let us know how Vladimir Putin got Donald Trump elected president. It was all as stupid as you remember. Until the end of
It was all as stupid as you remember.
Swalwell said something odd and interesting. Swalwell explained because Putin had installed Donald Trump secretly in the White House. The United States should now, quote, do everything we can to expand NATO's role. In other words, we should let Ukraine join NATO. That's odd. Why would he say that? Why would a policy so seemingly obscure, NATO, Ukraine, what? Why would that be a priority for some forgettable congressman from the East Bay? Well, simple. Because getting Ukraine to join NATO was the key to inciting war with Russia. We didn't get it at the time. Now it's obvious. Vladimir Putin just invaded Ukraine because he didn't want Ukraine to join NATO. Putin certainly had other motives as well. People always do have motives.
We covered that on the show. Thanks to Jackson Hinkle and Jimmy Dore, who informed me about it. I informed you about it, so you guys already know this.
Motives. But that's the main reason Russia invaded. The Russians don't want American missiles on their border. They don't want a hostile government next door. Now that's true, whether you're allowed to say it in public right now or not. It has been true for a long time. A lot has been written about this over many years by serious people. No one knows anything, to be honest, will tell you Putin invaded Ukraine simply because he's evil. Hey, Dave certainly seems to be. But he also has strategic motives in doing that. Whether or not you agree with those motives, that's irrelevant. Those are the facts.
Yeah, I know. I hate him too.
Those facts, the Biden administration's behavior in the days before the Ukraine invasion tells you a lot about what motivated them. With Russian troops massed by the thousands on the Ukrainian border, Joe Biden sent Kamala Harris, the least capable diplomat.
Remember this? I told you guys about this.
America's policies.
I say chants are great.
At a public press event at the Munich Security Conference, Kamala Harris encouraged Ukraine to become a member of NATO. Quote, I appreciate and admire President Zelensky's desire to join NATO. Message? Up yours, Vladimir Putin. Go ahead and invade Ukraine. And of course, Vladimir Putin did that just days later. So the invasion was no surprise to the Biden administration. They knew that would happen. That was the point of the exercise.
They encouraged war. And I told my mom this. I said, Mom, you have no idea America's hand in this war story. And she's like, you're right, I don't. This is all Vladimir Putin. I said, no, it's not. There's signals of manipulation involved in what's going on over there. And Tucker Carlson has finally got it right, and he's about to spill the beans, man. Here you go.
We watched all this happen. We missed it. How? Honestly, because it was insane, and therefore very hard to take seriously. Why in the world would the United States intentionally seek war with Russia? How could we possibly benefit from that war? We still don't know the answer to that question.
Right?
But it is obvious.
Isn't that funny? And that's the question everybody's asking, is we don't see the financial gain. All we see is everybody hurting. I mean, if this is really just for a handful of people that own stock in Northrop Grumman and Martin Lockheed and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, I mean, this has gone so far beyond insane. And yet, he's right. 100%. We encourage this. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden wanted Putin to go into Ukraine. They wanted. He wanted to be a wartime president. She wanted to be a wartime vice president so she can show everybody how tough she is. She's such a tough vice president. She's so tough. You know, it's that commanding voice. She's got the commanding voice of the vice presidential candidate. Yeah, let's vote her in.
And has been fixated on war with Russia for a very long time. A couple of years ago, you may remember, we've forgotten, they impeached a sitting president. Why? For threatening to withhold coffee to President Zelensky of Ukraine. Failing to back a proxy war in Ukraine was the one thing Donald Trump was not allowed to do as president. Again, they impeached him for it. And no one said much about it, even in his own party, because of course they supported war with Russia too. Maybe even more than the Democrats did. As far back as 2016, Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, hysterical little Lindsey Graham, was jumping around, acting out his war fantasies in front of foreign soldiers in Ukraine. If we saw this tape at the time, we don't remember seeing it. Back in 2016, Ukraine seemed like a faraway place. We should have paid more attention. Here it is. Your fight is our fight. 2017 will be the year of offense. All of us will go back to Washington and we will push the case against Russia.
Enough of a Russian aggression. It is time for them to pay a heavier price.
Your fight is our fight? That's a very strange thing for an American lawmaker to say to a foreign military. Why would the Ukrainian government's fight in 2016 possibly be our fight? On what grounds is it our fight? What does that even mean? We don't know.
What's that even
And
mean?
yet now he's demonstrably true. Ukraine's fight is our fight. Ukraine's war is our war. It's here, but most Americans did not see that coming. Yet permanent Washington certainly did. Permanent Washington understood that the second Vladimir Putin's forces rolled across the border into Ukraine, we would inevitably be on a course for war with Russia. They knew it. Here's the president of the August Council on Foreign Relations on the day of the invasion.
We need now a response of necessity to his war of choice. And there's got to be to raise the economic costs at home, to raise the military costs on the ground. I hate to be so blunt, but the most vulnerable thing that Putin's vulnerable to is dead Russian soldiers. So we have to make sure Ukraine has the means to resist.
Dead Russian soldiers. At the time, that seemed a little bellicose right out of the gate. It just happened. Maybe there's some way to de-escalate this. The invasion's terrible, but isn't America's role as steward of the West to make things better? Wouldn't a prompt Russian withdrawal from Ukraine be the wisest course for everyone, including and especially the Ukrainians, on whose behalf we claim to speak, but whose country would be leveled by a protracted war? You would think so, but that's not what anyone in Washington wanted. They wanted a war, and now they have one. So where's this going? That's the question for the rest of us who had no role in making this decision. Well, it's worrisome. You should keep in mind that the U.S. government is currently run by the same people who planned the Afghanistan withdrawal, the ones who tanked the U.S. dollar. People who run Baltimore, the ones who tried to send crack pipes to junkies. These are people with a long history of destroying things and no history at all of building anything. So a lot could go wrong. They tell us that Vladimir Putin is unbalanced. We'll take that at face value. We know that Putin has thousands of nuclear weapons. Putin has said that if he is pushed, he will use nuclear weapons. Could be wise to believe him. Harry Kazianis does believe him. Kazianis is a foreign policy.
My lighter's by the front door.
Like a lot of people in his business, he regularly participates in government-sponsored war games. These are designed to map out what would happen if various countries fell into conflict with one another. A couple of years ago, not long ago at all, Kazianis participated in a war game with Russia.
Yeah.
He wrote about this the other day in the Federalist. Quote, in the course of what we call the NATO-Russia War of 2019, we estimated 1 billion people died. 1 billion. And if we aren't careful, what happened in the simulation could happen if a NATO-Russia war erupts over Ukraine. That war is
So
Russia.
pissy.
The fact that no one in charge seems to worry about where this could go should concern you quite a bit. But nuclear war is not the only news. The economic consequences of this war are already profound. A history-changing act.
What's that?
Somebody was telling me he wants to run the whole tour. Carlson.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. I just, just something I heard.
I wonder how many people watch your show. Just like doing that bag, bro.
You see him a lot bigger all the time.
How do I do this later in the bag?
Okay. Yeah, you could- and you see where it was.
You may be able to switch to a Care Plus Medicare Advantage plan today. Care Plus offers all the benefits of Medicare Part B premium. Help pay for birth leave.
I found my lighter. I'm sick of using the torch, man. It's like, C3PO. No, man, we want the R2D2, man. We want R2 units, son.
And if you don't believe it, check out commodity prices. They're out of control. Wheat is up nearly 60% over last year. It's the highest price ever recorded for wheat. Not good news if you plan to eat.
All right. So I shaved the beard. Good question. I was like, I wasn't even going to address the Bears thing. And then you corrected yourself. I was like, oh, beard. Yeah. Yeah, I shaved it off. There you go. Before I left California, I'm like, I was streaming about Russians again, right?
And it won't get better. Russia is one of the largest fertilizer producers in the
Cheers,
world.
guys.
So for example, a ton of urea fertilizer that cost American farmers $265 per ton last January, now goes for $846 this year. And thanks to sanctions, that number will get much higher. No one who farms has ever seen anything like this. You probably don't farm, but you do buy groceries. It'll be obvious to you soon. In fact, thanks to Biden's foreign policy, everything you buy is shooting up in price and shockingly fast. Gasoline is now higher than it's ever been in the history of gasoline. In Los Angeles, it is selling for $7.29 a gallon. So if you make under $100,000 a year, and most people in this country do, that qualifies as a crisis for you. But for the people in charge, it's not high enough. They'd like to make it worse. Their latest idea that a lot of people seem to be fine is that we have a moral obligation somehow to stop buying Russian oil. It's tainted. Okay. What would happen if we did that? Well, needless to say, oil prices would jump, likely over $150 a barrel, even higher prices for you. But then that boycott spread, and moral boycotts tend to, and Europe joined it. Buckle your seatbelt. We talked to some of the energy business this morning, energy traders, to get a little perspective on this. He said a total boycott of Russian energy would cause, quote, an absolute global disaster. That means recession, depression, uncontrollable inflation, and direct economic devastation to us and our allies. And at that point, in fact, we're already there, we'd be forced to make up the difference by getting more oil from other countries because we need the energy. Batteries aren't going to supply it. So what would those countries be? Well, let's see. They would be, pretty clear, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Venezuela. To repeat, in order to wage a moral boycott, we become more dependent on Saudi Arabia, governed by Sharia law, Iran, a rogue state, and Maduro's Venezuela. Because this is a moral statement we're making. This is a moral victory. So feel good about it as you go bankrupt. That's the short term.
How have I been?
The long-term picture of war with Russia is even scarier.
I've been good, brother. I've been really good. I moved from California to Florida, and I'm staying with my parents. You know, it's going good. I found this video of Chuck Carlson. And what's creepy is I agree with everything he says. He's getting every single thing right, just about in this video. It is almost like he wants to run for president.
Did you realize that she never got his message? So he jumped in the cab and he raced to the airport. Tyler had gave back for the plane and he loved her. You saw the movie too. Mama, I thought tell you something. Won't you face the next part though? So he told her no one's going inside.
Isn't that? Thanks to Biden's policies, Russia and China now form a bloc against the United States. This was the nightmare scenario, now it's real. Just today, the Chinese foreign minister described Vladimir Putin as China's, quote, most important strategic partner. So when we're going to see a boycott of Chinese goods in the United States, they're making this war possible. Oh, don't bet on it, that would be racist. But we should prepare to lose our position as holder of the world's reserve currency. That is happening in slow motion. It's unmistakable. Now, the Biden people seem to have no idea this is going on. Maybe they want it to happen. Joe Biden was up there at the State of the Union bragging about how he took 30 points off the Russian ruble in a single day. Hooray, good for us. But when he's out celebrating our win, the destruction of the Russian economy, they
I just want to pause right there and just say that whole attitude that he just did about what Biden did, I totally agree with what his attitude, with the way Tucker said that. I mean, it's like, yeah, great. You heard a whole bunch of Russian people that had absolutely nothing to do with it. Yeah, yay, hooray. Good for you, Biden. You're a fucking monster. You know?
I mean, you gotta wonder, is there a downside to this? Could it be a Pyrrhic victory? Let's see. These policies have driven Russia, China, India, Turkey, and other countries to accelerate their flight to the US dollar. Now, to be clear, that's the majority of the global economy. This may be the most reckless and destructive thing any American president has ever done in the United States. If the war in Ukraine ended tomorrow, we would live with the consequences of that loss of the US dollar as world reserve currency for the rest of our lives. No one in Washington is even acknowledging this is happening. They're looking for more moral victories to win. And the companies love it. The woke companies, Apple, MasterCard, lots of other American companies are taking victory laps from their role in punishing Russia. Great. Punish Russia. We're not against that. But you've got to wonder. You've just seen a handful of woke corporations crash a country and impoverish its citizens indiscriminately. Now, that country is Russia. So most of us aren't even thinking about the precedent it's set. We're fine with it. It's Russia, who cares? But is it possible these same techniques might be used someday against some place or somebody that you care about? What if one morning you woke up and they decided that you're Vladimir Putin and you must be erased? Could that happen? Don't think about it. You're probably not able to think about it clearly right now, even if you try. Why?
This.
Because there's a moral panic.
Moral panic. This.
For the record, this is the third moral panic we have had in the United States of America in less than 2 years. You don't want.
Now, this is excellent because I tried to figure out what the two other moral panics were, and I only guessed one of them. You know, you guys want to try to guess what the two moral panics were before the Ukraine war that he's referring to? It's really good, man. This conversation gets really good. He's going to tell you what they are when I play the video. But you know, I got one of them right for sure, of course. You know, one of the moral panics is obvious. It should be pretty obvious to everybody. But the other moral panic, I was this is where I disagree with him on something, and I'll show you where I disagree with him.
I live in a country in which moral panics break out regularly, by the way. Moral panics diminish the people engaged in them and hurt the people who don't. They're degrading, they're crazy, they're the opposite of what you want. You want to live in a country where wisdom and restraint, rational behavior, and decency determine the outcomes, not screaming.
Okay, here.
But we live in a country of moral panics. The first one began in May of 2020 with the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. That changed America completely.
Right?
The second moral panic was COVID. You've lived through that.
Wait,
So for nearly 2 years, the shouting has not ended. Hysteria is now the official language of public discourse in the United States.
here goes.
That's not good for anyone except those benefiting from it. Who is benefiting? Anyone who lies for a living. The liars have perfect timing. Ask yourself, how much of what you first heard about BLM and then about the coronavirus turned out in the end to be true?
Almost all of it. Both BLM and COVID. Almost everything I heard about it turned out to be true. Almost everything. There was a few things that weren't. You know, a few things. It wasn't. Basically, there was a pandemic. People were dying. If you got it, you had a certain percentage chance of living. You know, the important facts, all that shit. Most of us had it down. Social distancing, masking, all that shit. You know, that was pretty much standard procedure just to try to slow down the pandemic. I think it was pretty obvious. As far as lying and shit, yeah, and that look on his face right there, this is where him and I totally walk away from each other completely. Just so you guys know. And listen to the next thing he's about to say.
How many of the first stories were true? Not many. It was almost all lies. But you didn't know that at the time because you were busy being yelled at. If you dared to point out that actually all lives matter, they did not.
What's the point of saying all lives matter, Tucker? What's your advantage of saying all lives matter? How is them saying Black Lives Matter a lie? You get it? Totally wrong on this. Still racist as can be. Doesn't want to support putting an end to police killing black people in the street because his white ass feels left out. And the fact is, if police stop killing black people in the street, less white people get killed as a result of that. You idiot. You can't think past your freaking little dick. But I digress.
As was a racist. If you express concern
Well,
about
no, Tucker, because you are a fucking racist. You know, just quit crying about it and just come out of the freaking racist closet, you fucking racist. Why can't you do that? Why can't you do that, Tucker? Just come out of the closet, bro. You know, put your white sheet on your head and march around with the plan, because you know you want to. This is why I told them they should change their name to All Lives Matter, because then this fucking cunt couldn't fucking pipe up about it. Oh, they didn't want to listen to my idea. They didn't want to listen to my idea, you know? They didn't even respond. And I was serious. I was like, I'm not telling you that all lives matter. I'm telling you guys to change your name to All Lives Matter just to give this cunt a fuck you. Say, okay, cool, all lives matter. Now can we stop killing people in the street? Are you happy we changed your word for you, Tucker? Were you butt hurt over a word, Tucker? You didn't like the word black, Tucker? You're a fucking pussy, Tucker. You're a fucking pussy. Fuck you. But I digress, because he's about to start making some sense. Listen.
Baxter. Sounds familiar, the pattern never changes. Hey, maybe war with Russia is not a good idea for the United States. Say that to cloud sometime. It's not an extreme position. Most Americans would agree with you.
I agree.
But you will immediately be denounced as a tool of Putin. What is this? It's name calling as a means of social control. The people in charge have decided their primary job is to decide who you should hate. In an environment like this,
Learn how to manipulate them so easily.
and that's because much of it is. On Thursday, we told you that Russian forces had bombed a nuclear reactor in Ukraine. That seemed to be true. President Zelensky of Ukraine had said repeatedly, but it was not true. No reactors were hit. An unnamed Ukrainian official claimed that radiation levels in the area had risen. That turned out to be untrue as well. In the words of Mark Nelson, who's a nuclear energy analyst, quote, I'm afraid to say this looks like a coordinated effort to induce panic. Of course. It was what we call disinformation. And
so they claimed that a nuclear reactor was hit and that radiation levels were up, right? And everybody ate it up, all the media ate it up and said that, and it didn't happen. That did not happen. They didn't hit a reactor, right? So that's what he's saying. They're literally trying to cause panic. They're trying to get you on their side.
It was designed to get you to support the war against Russia.
Just making shit up.
Now, maybe you support a war against Russia anyway, but you should at least know that you're being lied to and manipulated, which you are. Watch this segment from Good Morning America.
Ukraine's mothers, daughters, teachers, politicians, beauty queens, now on the front lines defending their country under state.
Look, the angel of Verdun, right? It's the angel of Verdun from Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. Isn't that funny? You guys want to hear something hilarious? At least they corrected it. Yeah, whatever, BJ. Whatever, Biden supporter, obviously. I can tell you are, buddy. Oh my God. At least they corrected it. Oh my God. Oh. BJ.
And there is Anastasiy Lena, a former Miss Grand Ukraine.
And you know what, BJ?
In fatigue, rifle in hand.
You know what, BJ? I'll give you credit. You're right. Yeah, at least they corrected it. You're right. At least they corrected it. Many times they wouldn't do.
Underneath, patriotic hashtags.
Miss Ukraine with a rifle, defending her homeland. Is there anything more inspiring than that? It'd be more inspiring if it was real. It wasn't. It was fake. Miss Ukraine was not defending her homeland. That wasn't a rifle. It was an airsoft gun. So the whole thing was not a news story that we read it as such. It was a propaganda shoot. It was meant to deceive you. It was meant to make you want war with Russia. Sympathize with one side over the other.
The angel of Verdun.
It works. That's why they do it. It's why the tech companies have censored so many news sites recently, including from Russia, but not exclusively from Russia. Now, we're supposed to think this is a victory over Putin or something. But a victory for what? Less information? Fewer perspectives?
This is as far as I got. So everything from here on in, guys, is there's no guarantee. The hawk is back. There's no guarantees.
Getting to the truth was the point of the exercise. We as American citizens would be able to read whatever we wanted to read. That was the rule for centuries in this country. It no longer is because truth is no longer the point. Instead, Twitter and Facebook were proudly censoring any information that might, quote, undermine trust in the Ukrainian government. Really? Since when are we required to trust the Ukrainian government or any government? Don't ask. By the way, over the weekend, because everything in America is unintentionally hilarious, and the New York Times attacked Vladimir Putin for censorship, turns out he engaged in censorship, tries to control what his people can read.
You guys see that?
He hit the relentless
See the flight of the hawk, man?
is any perspective about the world or war. It's always lacking in this.
You guys see the hotline?
Now, the fighting in Ukraine is terrible. Of course, you're seeing it happen. No decent person could fail to be moved by the images. But it's not unique. It's not the only war in recent memory, or even currently in progress right now. Many thousands died in the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war that was between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Ever heard of it? It ended less than a year and a half ago. No coverage. There's been a gruesome war underway in Ethiopia for a couple of years now. It's again in progress as we speak. Tens of thousands of women have been raped by militiamen, many of them intentionally infected with AIDS. Could it get worse than that? How many people have died in the war in Ethiopia? We don't really know, because no one in Armenia cares enough to keep track of Ethiopia. We do know that hundreds of thousands of people, mostly civilians, have died in the war in Yemen. And so where the Biden administration is continuing to fund, doesn't get a lot of attention. It's just Yemen. Who cares?
There you go.
All human life is equal. All of us are equal in the eyes of God. The death of someone in Ukraine is exactly equivalent to the death of someone in Yemen.
Yeah.
And it's important, period. But hardest of all to ignore, though media have pulled it off and ignored it, is the civil war that's underway 100 yards from El Paso, Texas right now. The Mexican drug war. That's what we call it. Suddenly killed more than 100,000 people. In 2019 alone, close to 10,000 Mexican citizens just disappeared, most of them young men. More journalists are murdered in Mexico every year than in any other country in the world. You're seeing pictures on your screen right now of that. They're horrifying. We're keeping the bad ones off the screen in front of us. They're awful. But it's not a crisis. It's totally normal, says the Biden administration. Open the southern border. The border we care about is Ukraine. Now, Republicans in Washington, to their eternal shame, have no problem with any. In fact, many of them are more for war with Russia than Joe Biden seems to be. That is a disgrace. It will hurt them in the midterms. It will hurt them on some deeper level, because it's just not serving the interests of this country. A war fought on behalf of democracy that ignores the will of the country fighting it. And some folks will explain exactly what's going on here around time for tonight. It's enough to know Republicans are not representing their voters when they move to a position that's way more warlike than Joe Biden. When they embrace the lunacy that could really hurt this country. They're not representing people like Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell is a Republican voter. He's a 27-year-old mixed martial arts fighter who's a cattle farmer from Cabot, Arkansas. The other day, someone asked him what he thought about Ukraine at a press event. Here's what he said.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Russia and Ukraine situation.
You know, here's my first thought. I'm not going nowhere to fight none of these wars for these politicians. I'm staying at home, and when the war comes to Arkansas, I will dig my boots in the ground, and I will die for everything I love, and I will not retreat. The country's invaded, and everybody's saying, well, we gotta evacuate, we gotta leave, I will not. I will dig my boots in the Arkansas soil, and I will fight for the people that I love, for the land that I love, and the way of life that I love. But I'm not going overseas to fight. I don't know what's going on, to be honest, brothers. I really don't. There's so much stuff, and I don't think nobody knows what's going on fully. There's been so much political corruption in that area. You got Biden and his son making a ton of money off of using our tax dollars to bribe their people. That's treasonous, in my opinion. So you got Hunter Biden and his son using our tax dollars. Hey, if Ukrainian government, if you don't do this, we're taking your tax dollars. He shouldn't be giving our tax dollars to that country anyway. We got veterans out here sleeping on the street, and you're going to give our freaking tax dollars to the Ukrainians? And I don't know what's going on over there.
No, you don't.
I'm not going over there and fighting.
You're worried more about the war machine, bro.
So he's a cooking stew. Lindsey Graham, David Trump, and Amazon, Liz Cheney. Tell us how he's immoral. When the war comes to Arkansas, he said, I will dig my boots into the ground and I will die for everything I love. That's the American position. Fight to the death to defend what you love. Your people, your family, your country. To defend it. That's what we call it, the Defense Department. It's not called this.
I wonder how much time on Tucker Carlson's show he spent reporting on all those wars in Yemen, Palestine, Somalia, Ethiopia, Syria. You know, how much time did he spend reporting on Afghanistan? You know, he's very, Very, very hypocritical.
Department of Nation Building or the Bureau of Trans Evangelism. Bryce Mitchell may not have good grammar, but he understands exactly what's going on. Even people who claim to represent him and our country have no idea. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Hey, Sean Hannity, hey, go fuck yourself. How about that? How about that, Sean Hannity, go fuck yourself? Fucking hate you, I like to spit on you. Spit on you, Sean? Can I spit on you, Sean? Cause I want to spit on you, Sean. Oh boy. Colbert cheerleads war with clear conscience. Yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. Hey, the tribe, what's up, buddy? Alright guys, thanks for watching my show. I hope you all had fun. And I'll see you on the next one. Sign up, make sure you turn your notifications on. Check out at Nays Garden and Nays Garden Show at Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Alright? And I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye guys. Oh, did I ever get my coffee? Didn't I make coffee and I forgot it? Interesting. What? What are you still doing here? I said it's over. Get out of here. Leave. Go. Go. Leave. It's over. Show's over, people. Yeah.
Apparently, I am encouraging my patients to achieve and proper self-care. She didn't have to take that advice. No, she did. She did. Take my advice and finish me shovels. She was
Go Pepe! Samus a shot at Go Pepe! Yo! We got drinking coffee here, folks. Everybody just calm the fuck down. Everybody just calm down. Pride Drive. That's Billy. Billy is here. It's time for coffee, Billy. I saw it was Billy. I saw it was Billy. It was indeed. This show is almost over.
He's a blind snake that's just obviously using the time for his money.
This weather is weird. It wants to rain. It seems like it wants to rain.
He is still my husband. You asked him for a divorce. Yes, but that was before I knew he was being duped by some conniving golden.
And I hope I don't get copyright strikes for having TV playing on the background. So I'm going to go podcast and shit. I should be turning the TV off. Why is the TV on? How is it?
At least from my perspective.
No one is in here listening to this.
It's not.
Why is it doing stuff?
It's not our conscious level.
Why is it doing stuff? That guy is so homosexual. That guy is so homosexual. That word's still okay, right? Wow, that man is so homosexual. Is that where the dude or the soap's like doing that now, guys? Is that soap opera shit right there? God, I don't know. You know what? I don't even tell me. I don't want to know. Okay? I don't want to know. Just don't tell me. Don't tell me because I don't want to know. Don't tell me because I don't want to know. I don't want to know. That goes double for you, Billy. I don't want to know. I want the information completely withheld from my purview. My purview. I was like, I could get my car detailed, you know? I was like, I just wait for my mom to detail her. I don't know what you can do for my car. It's a freaking mess. From pineapples, now you know. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know. I did not want to know about your pineapple stuff. Pineapple stuff. I did not want to know. Pineapples, man. Pineapples. Pineapples, man. Pineapples. Chantel, hello. No, I'm not smoking anymore. I'm done. About to end the show. I'm just going to drink this coffee. I'm sorry, Chantel. You go ahead and smoke for both of us, though. You do it. I'm done smoking. I'm high. HAF. I am code HAF. Code HAF. I've taken over this table, though, man. It's like my table. It's like my stuff. It's my table. It's like my stuff. It's stuff. It's my setup. You guys want to see my setup? I could show you my setup. You want to see my setup? Ice. What's up, buddy? LAIM. Oh, I am. Yep, Ice is doing a dab. Cheers, Ice. I did a dab. I did dab, dude. It's too high, bro. Your shit gets me too high, bro. Your shit gets me too high, bro. Too high for me. Too high. Uh-oh, there's another little squirrel in the yard, man. That is not a good spot, dude. I can see that hawk taking that thing. You better hope the hawk's not around, you little fuckstick. He's got him, so he's inside he's inside a caged off area, man. You know, it might be a little challenge for him to get out there if that hawk is in there. Okay, man. I don't see him. I don't see him yet, man. I don't see the hawk, man. That thing's gonna just come swooping in from somewhere, bro. It's a tiny little squirrel. Squirrels out here are tiny, man. Yo, Enoch, what's up, bro? I'm just sitting here all high, dude. Just
look out the window, freaking high, bro. Watching two squirrels, bro. I got a squirrel over there, bro. We see that squirrel, bro. I haven't seen one squirrel, and I see that squirrel, bro. I think it's one squirrel. I think right to France, bro. There was once two squirrels, and they were married, and they lived out there on the window. And then this year, I did not see the second squirrel, and I have a red stapler, and this swing right, and they keep stealing it from me. They steal it back from me. I'm going to burn the place down on fire. I'm going to set the building on fire. Oh my God, please. Holy shit, those dabs, ice. Dude, I went in so much. I did one dab and I smoked bong hit of Pineapple Express. Hey, Joseph. Echo, 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 echo. What kind of echo? What kind of echo, bruh? Yeah, bruh. What kind of echo, bruh? Yeah, bruh. What kind of echo, bruh? Oh, cool, they did it. They did it. We gotta watch this, man. Cool, they talked about it.
We have our special guest with us, we're gonna be
They're gonna
talking
talk
about
about
RT.
RT
He is
show.
a comedian, political satirist, president. He hosts the Government Secrets and Common Censored podcast and was until very recently the lead writer and host of Redacted Tonight with Lee Camp on RT America.
Creator
Let's welcome Lee Camp. Hi, Lee, how are you?
Hey, Jimmy, freshly unemployed, love it.
Man, I feel for you, buddy. That's such a, I was just telling you before we went on air, I thought once Trump became president, we would get ourselves past all this stuff, but apparently not. Apparently that's just, they're just too convenient of a target. So let me just do the story really quick. Russia State run news outlet RT America is shutting down and laying off staff, report says. Okay. Now, it's funny because Russia didn't shut us down when we invaded Iraq. Or Russia didn't shut us down when we illegally
Jimmy Orr.
invaded Libya, turned it into a failed state. Russia didn't shut PBS down when, right, I mean, it's just, when we're occupying Syria right now, who's shutting down PBS? And nobody. All right, so the American branch of Russia state-run media outlet RT is shutting down and laying off most of its staff. CNN reported on Thursday, RT America will be ceasing production at all locations because of unforeseen business interruption events, according to a memo obtained by CNN. Unfortunately, we anticipate this layoff will be permanent, meaning that this will result in the permanent separation from employment of most TNR employees at all locations, the memo said. It was previously announced that social media access for RT and state-run news site Sputnik would be largely shut down in the EU. The state-owned Russia Today and Sputnik and their subsidiaries will no longer be able to spread their lies to justify Putin's war. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Sunday. The layoffs at RT America, which launched in 2010, come after satellite provider DirecTV announced it was dropping the network. The network also aired on the public airwaves in Washington, D.C. According to CNN, staff were informed of the layoffs at a call-in meeting on Thursday. RT America has done one layoff employee posted on Twitter. In recent years, RT America hosted shows from the likes of former CNN personality Larry King and right-wing comedian Dennis Miller. Since 2017, it had received more than $104 million in funding from the Russian government, half that money coming in 2020. It is not the end of RT as a brand, however, with English language content still being produced from an office in Moscow. As of Thursday evening, the channel was still streaming live on YouTube in the United States.
I told you guys that.
Recap.
I told you this.
So what would you like to say about the situation?
I mean, it's disgusting censorship of the grandest kind. I mean, they didn't give us any reason as to why it shut down, but the fact that it happened so instantly, there was no like, hey, we're gonna, lay off a few people and cut back just news, or it was really like Wednesday, everything's fine, Thursday, everyone's gone kind of thing. Makes me think that it had to be somehow connected to the US government or sanctions that made it just impossible for them to
Soldiers in the front.
And, this was one of the few, like,
Soldiers in the
people
front line.
that we were given talking
They're
points,
encroaching on your back line here.
memos.
The line of demarcation back here.
But the reason I was there is I was never told what to say, I was never told what
Lost
not to
the
say,
battle.
I was never censored, I wrote all my own stuff. There was a level of freedom on a television network that is truly unheard of. And Ben Swan, who's worked at CBS, NBC, Fox News, and RT.
He's a misinformant.
RT is where he had the most freedom.
Well, yeah, he's a misinformant. Ben Swan is a misinformant.
I filled in for Jesse Ventura, former governor.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura is a misinformant as well.
And,
yeah, 9/11 was a controlled demolition. He's an idiot.
But, it's.
It's like they'll just forgive that shit.
Crazy amount of sense.
Psychotic. Both of these guys.
People actually.
Both of these guys.
People happy about this thing?
Hey, Lee, Jimmy, just kind of curious here. Jesse Ventura says that the buildings, the towers, 9/11, were both controlled demolitions because he was an explosives expert in the military. So he could tell that was a controlled demolition. You guys absolutely won't discuss that, will you? You're just going to give him credit because right now he's your little piece of straw that you're going to throw in your little straw pile. That's bullshit, man. I hate shit like that. But I digress.
Oh my God! You look at the Liberati on Twitter, and they are fucking thrilled that RT America.
Not me.
How dare there be
Hey,
dissenting voice?
not me, Lee. And I sent you some support, but you didn't give me a like or anything, bro. So whatever.
Dare there be an anti-war, anti.
All you want to see is the hate, I guess.
It truly is disgusting because the thing is, you don't have to agree with every word I say or any of them to realize that there should be this freedom of press. There should be freedom of speech, and instead, even journalists don't see that this is a threat to their job, to the idea of journalism. The fact that it's being celebrated is just truly revolting. And it was for me at least, it was cross-platform. The show obviously canceled from RT America. The Redacted in that YouTube video the day before that were banned across Europe and the UK. And my personal podcast, Moment of Clarity, was deleted from Spotify, and all of that happened within 3 days.
Why would your personal podcast be deleted from Spotify? You're an American citizen, right?
Right? No First Amendment.
I am. No impression.
No First Amendment.
So did they give you a reason at all?
No reason. It's just there's clearly discussions about trying to cut off anybody who works at RT.
Wow. And this is happening as the United States is currently helping a genocide take place in Yemen, bombing Somalia, and occupying Syria illegally.
And the latest estimate on the number of deaths the U.S. has caused with our wars on terror over the past 20 years is 6 million. Like, it's mind-blowing number, 6 million dead, and yet they're not cutting off, CNN from promoting those wars, or Fox News, or MSNBC. Those are all great, funded by Lockheed Martin, love them.
Right?
Yes, they love war. And believe me, they love this war. Brian Stelter is already tweeting out how their ratings are doing great because of it. He's all proud of it. He's actually talking about it. So
yeah, CNN lost 40% of their viewers the moment Trump left office. Now they've got them all back.
Yes, I think they lost more than that. But you're right. And so wars, it sells papers and it gets clicks, and especially when they're the ones. No one in the United States that I talked to knows that we overthrew the Ukraine government in 2014 and installed a hostile government to Putin, and then started funneling arms into Ukraine And nobody knows any of that.
The
Nobody,
Nazis, the dudes with literal swastikas on their helmets. These aren't like top secret Nazis. These are Nazis.
these are real Nazis. Yeah, these aren't secret Nazis. Well, they say, oh no, the president of Ukraine is Jewish, so how can there be Nazis anywhere in Ukraine?
Right. Well, I just had former UN weapons inspector Scott Ritter on my one remaining YouTube show, and he said that it basically whether Zelensky wanted to or not, the government is accountable to these Nazis because they're far right and they are willing to kill.
That's right.
And any politician who stands up against them will be assassinated. So
They like killing. In fact, I'm just quoting them. There was the leader of the C-16s. He was saying, we like killing, it's fun. And we're willing to do what the West won't. That's what he said. So,
I think Mad Dog Matt said the same thing once.
aha!
All right, you guys. Thanks for watching the show. We'll see you guys on the next one, all right? Love y'all. Take care. Sign up for notifications. You know the deal, you know. Bye, guys. Rogie says, Nebula, and says goodbye.